Geologically, Minnesota Point is very, very young. It's only about 2,000 years old. And it was formed when the glaciers left the Lake Superior Basin and the water level receded, and the erosion of materials from both shorelines formed this long sandbar, about 10-mile sandbar. It was a unique situation because it's between one of the greatest lakes, freshwater lakes in the world, and a huge estuary of rivers going out inland.
All this along here was all inhabited by all my relatives. They're buried along this whole entire stretch of sand, including Wisconsin Point.
The Ojibwe called it Neashe, which is an Ojibwe word for a peninsula.
When they first came around the bay, when they were coming in towards Minnesota, the hillsides were blue from all the blueberries that the tribes before had burned for. So this was positively a mecca.
Minnesota Point is important to the economy as a tax base for the harbor and the growing shipping industry, home to a vibrant, engaged community, and a popular recreation and tourism spot.
It's an incredible place, not only to live, but to recreate. We've got boaters, we've got sailors, we have ice fishermen, but it's also about the incredible wildlife down here.
I get the chance to travel nationally in this role as well as in my Navy role, and people know of Duluth, and when they know of Duluth, they know of Canal Park, the bridge, and Park Point. So it has national significance as a destination.
I like the sand and the grass, and I like the trees at the end. There's a lot of wildlife and like beach grass, and a lot of people live here, and it's really like a fun place to go, and tourists come here a lot too.
Like other barrier islands around the globe, Minnesota Point faces extreme challenges, including significant erosion, flooding, property development, and aging infrastructure, all of which are exacerbated by climate change. These challenges threaten the very existence of the point.
We really have to think about the loss of an entire neighborhood if we aren't proactive about taking steps that protect, reinforce, and I would say reaffirm what is the sandbar that this neighborhood is living on.
The City Council plays a really important role in helping to protect Park Point. And we do that through policymaking. And that is important for Park Point because there's a lot of policies that we need to look at in the future to preserve it, to make sure it doesn't become overpopulated.
Aside from the ecological threat, my biggest fear is conversion of homes, loss of homes, and no longer having a neighborhood that really is one of our neighborhoods with best neighbor cohesion.
As far as Minnesota Point itself, one thing is that if we don't come together with, when thinking about climate change and development and other issues, we're going to lose Minnesota Point entirely in the near future. It will be gone there.
To address the threats to this national treasure, the local community launched MP50, an initiative to create a 50-year plan to ensure the long-term resiliency of Minnesota Point.
MP50 initiative is important because there was no long-term management plan to look at what's happening.
The only way forward that I could see was for long-term planning was to bring all the partners together, to learn together, deepen our learning, and formulate a process that would develop a roadmap for coordinated actions.
It's going to take not just a collaboration of the big players within the communities, but also we have to educate the public that live here.
I think people can be called to action by getting in touch with our elected officials to tell them how important these areas are to us.
I think it's important to reach out to the nearby tribal communities, Fond du Lac, Bad River, Red Cliff, all the other ones that surround this area, and come together.
One of the things that we can really uplift is the MP50 work. This is a citizen-led effort. You have to really love our Park Point Community Club, which is one of the most active in the community, but has also now taken on driving a really major policy initiative.
MP50 is setting a vision for Minnesota Point, 50 years into the future.
When I envision Park Point 50 years from now, I hope I see a beautiful neighborhood. I hope I see trees. I hope I see beach grass. I hope I still see access to our public beach points. I hope I see a community that not only overcame erosion and high water issues and our climate and all of the effects of climate change, and we were resilient through it.
I would hope is that this rich community, this tight-knit community that extends out to everybody who calls this a homeland, is strengthened, and diverse housing is preserved and is intact in 50 years.
I don't want it to become a place where not everybody can come, like if it was like not a public place anymore, or if too many people came, or if most of the houses got turned into hotels and furbeaus.
Well, my vision is to have the dunes, to have the Atlantic seagrass still growing on them, and to have that forest look like it looked 100 years ago.
I would love more than anything to see the Fond du Lac tribe and or other tribes get some of this land back, especially here in this area, these red pines.
In 50 years, I want to be able to look back and say we did everything we could. We did our best to honor the past, to bring in the best science. I think people can be called to action by getting in touch with our elected officials to tell them how important these areas are to us.
In order to help our counselors make good decisions and good policy, one of the best ways to do it is to continue to talk to all of them, not just your local district counselor, but to continue to email and call all of our counselors.
The most important thing is probably like just to come here more often, but when you do, be careful of what you're leaving behind.
We just invite people that you may not be a Duluth or Superior resident, but if you have love for this place, we invite you to be informed of this and to see if there isn't an opportunity for you to get engaged in the work.
People say that going to Park Point is extraordinary, so I say therefore we are living extraordinary lives on Park Point, and I'm very grateful for that.